We start with new developments in the case of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
Body was found in the trunk of singer David.
But one private investigator tonight telling us his evidence indicates it may have been much longer.
They say they just hope that at the end of the day, the truth about what happened to her comes to light.
Before we start, I want you to remember one thing. Every famous person's story has two versions. The one the world is allowed to see, and the one someone is fighting to hide. This case is the hidden version. Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a child reported missing from her home in Lake Elsinore, California on April 5th, 2024. She wouldn't be found again until more than a year later. Her remains, discovered in a black Tesla registered to musician David Burke, better known as David, on September 8, 2025. Her death is being treated as a potential homicide. The medical examiner's findings, locked under court seal, that the police rushed and demanded twice happen. The medical examiner, publicly, in an unprecedented display of defiance, said that why they would comply with that court order. They'd never seen anything like this, and it doesn't serve the public's interest. It was locked under court seal. The truth was officially hidden. Now, police have denied the most disturbing rumors, or should we say vaguely pushed back on. They said there was no decapitation, but they were really fuzzy about the dismemberment. They said there was no freezing, but when you read the official headline more and read into their statement, well, they say she wasn't found frozen. The coroner did point out, according to TMZ sources, that her fingers were waterlogged. The police pushed back and said those details were fabricated online. Many questions remained, but the questions left behind, they were real, they were sharp, and they cut straight into David's world. Because here's something the headlines never told you. When Celeste disappeared from the story, someone else appeared in it. Hannah. Oh, you don't know about Hannah? We'll talk about Hannah. Hannah was older. She was actually a certified adult. She was public. Hannah was age appropriate. Hannah was K-pop royalty adjacent. And Hannah could give David one thing that many said he would kill for. Fame too big to grasp. Fame that would finally let him live out his dreams and fantasies. On top of that, from a management perspective, this was appearing the industry could finally use. And right as the narrative shifted in public, a Reddit-based group called RIA, the Reddit Investigation Agency, began archiving deleted posts, documenting timeline gaps, and tracing the adult who stayed close as one child vanished and another woman took her place. Now, this video is not about accusations. It's about the pattern nobody wants to talk about. Well, what happens when a child who knows too much about a story she was never allowed to be in? Tonight, we start with the girl whose name wasn't meant to trend, Celeste. Celeste wasn't a headline. She wasn't a public character. Celeste wasn't supposed to exist in David's world. Legally, mentally, or even romantically. At least, not where anyone could see her. People online say Celeste and David first connected when she was around 11 or 12 years old. A child. And he was already a legal adult. People online say they have evidence that they met in a Fortnite Discord. Now, we are not here to claim or prove what that relationship was. We're saying what kind of power that dynamic creates. To Celeste, Private attention from someone older, talented, rising, probably felt like fate. But to an audience, to a label, to a global fan ecosystem, a minor connected to a grown artist is not a romance. At best, it's a risk. So, Celeste stayed in the dark. Hidden rooms, private calls, no photos, no tagging, no real proof, at least on social media, that she existed in his real life. Meanwhile, Hannah steps into the frame. Hannah Bang is K-pop royalty. Her brother is one of the biggest K-pop stars. She has her own fandom. And what Hannah offered him, or could offer him, was something that he desperately wanted and craved. Now, let's be clear. Hannah was also, I believe, an unknowing pawn. Yeah, listen, I think Hannah was aware that the glimpses of them together online, making TikToks, the aesthetic TikToks, soft boy, soft girl energy, fans could run wild with it.
Like a display of like self-expression.
It was a display of self-expression, and like, you know, most people wouldn't do that.
Hannah's an artist, and all artists plays the game. But not even Hannah knew about Celeste. Celeste, the child that was invisible. And Hannah, the one woman. People are saying that David and his team selected her to be the fantasy the world would be sold in his rise to global dominance. Imagine being 12 and seeing another woman become the public version of the love you thought you had. Celeste wouldn't have understood optics. She would have understood hurt. And somewhere between private reassurance and public replacement, Celeste goes silent. Not dead, not found, just erased from the narrative before she was gone from the world. In a spotlight economy, children don't disappear by accident. Someone decides they shouldn't be seen. Here's the part that keeps people up at night. Nobody knows the exact moment Celeste truly went missing. Her last formal missing persons report was April of 2024. But online investigators noticed she seemed to vanish from her own social world months before anyone realized she wasn't coming home. Messages stopped. Friends lose contact. Mentions disappear. And the danger is, she might not have realized she was disappearing. Because children don't recognize isolation as a threat. They think, maybe he's busy. Maybe things will go back to normal. Well, they told me to stay offline for us. The audience sees the warning signs. Celeste doesn't. Meanwhile, plans are moving forward around her. Concert bookings, label negotiations, big Asian market expansion looming. In those markets, there is zero tolerance. Zero tolerance exists for even a hint of an adult dating a minor scandal. A label can't afford that. A manager can't ignore that. And a career cannot survive that. So the optics must be controlled. Not later, now. A public love interest is introduced. Cute, safe, legal. Someone fans can ship without backlash. And a child once believed to be special because someone who must be forgotten. As Celeste slips from view, the viewers, we're sitting there and we feel dread. She doesn't realize that losing visibility means losing protection. People don't vanish because nobody cares. They vanish because someone does. But here's where things go dark. Because you see, while Celeste is quietly erased from view, another woman is being introduced to the world in full light, Hannah Bang. Who is she? Hannah's a singer. She's a dancer. She's a creator. But most importantly, she's 21 years old. She's an Australian-Korean artist with a poetic, understated brand that Gen Z fans adore. But more importantly, Hannah is deeply connected to K-pop royalty. Her brother, Bang Chan, is the leader of the Stray Kids, one of the biggest K-pop groups on the planet. And this matters for one reason. K-pop fans can make or break a global tour. That fandom economy, it's a cultural superpower. Streaming dominance, tour selling dominance, algorithm dominance. And Asian markets, especially South Korea and Southeast Asia, have zero tolerance for adult minor scandals around male artists? No, are you kidding me? If even a rumor surfaced that David was involved with a child, that's not a bad headline. That's a career death penalty in Asia. So let's say this carefully. Hannah wasn't a girl. She was a woman. And she was unknowingly a solution to all of David's problems. She was a safe, legal, beautiful, marketable partner. The kind of woman an image-hungry machine would kill to have in the narrative. Now, watch the shift. Suddenly, the TikToks aren't private anymore. The proximity isn't hidden. The ship edits start. Fans are screaming, soft boy, soft girl, ayy, and the numbers go up. And Hannah thinks, understandably, well, this is mutual exposure. It's a smart career move. It's an aesthetic pairing for the camera. Hannah doesn't know that her presence is covering someone else's absence. She doesn't know that every time she appears in public beside him, a child becomes more dangerous in private. Because now Celeste knows. Oh, so David can be seen loving a girl? Just not her. And children who feel replaced, well, they don't go quiet. They break, they talk, they tell the truth, not understanding that the truth can destroy an empire. The risk doesn't come from a crime. It comes from a secret. So while the public celebrates the new, I don't know, can't really call it a ship. I guess they were teasing a ship. David's team sees a ticking clock. They do not need Celeste harmed. They need Celeste gone from the narrative, invisible, unreachable, unquotable. Because the world can forgive heartbreak. It cannot forgive headlines like minor girlfriend during breakout success. This is where the panic begins to show in the details. And this is when Rhea steps in. Stages, millions on the line. Celeste represents a risk that cannot travel. Literally, she can't travel. Celeste has no passport. While the LAPD did confirm she had multiple fake IDs, wonder where she got that from, Celeste cannot actually travel. Let's not forget that she was a minor. And when you are a minor, you need your parents to sign off and to go with you into a passport agency to get your passport. Celeste was estranged from her family. She was reported as missing. And many neighbors and many people said they saw a girl that looked just like Celeste living with David. Again, Celeste represented a risk that cannot travel, literally or figuratively. So timelines begin to shift. April 2024, Celeste is reported missing. Months of silence. David moves to a mansion. Celeste possibly seen by neighbors, then not. Hannah's partnerships growing online, and deleted traces that Celeste was ever in David's orbit well, they are increasing day by day. But the RIA, or the RIA, as I like to call them, well, they were keeping track. To outsiders, it looks like coincidence. RIA sees pattern. One girl phases out of existence, one phases in as a brand asset, and the stakes grow. The timeline cracks. The panic spreads across the machine. RIA doesn't accuse anyone of wrongdoing. They just ask a much simpler question. Why did one girl have to vanish before another girl could be seen, another woman could be seen? When a global career threatens to collide with a dangerous secret, panic doesn't look like screaming. It looks like control. Because Celeste wasn't just a missing child, she was a missing variable, unpredictable, emotional, young enough to speak without strategy, and old enough to remember everything. And the closer David got to going worldwide, the more the machine moved to protect him. Handlers were suddenly everywhere, not just in emails and contracts, but inside his home. Security increased, his time became supervised, schedules tightened, phones were monitored, proximity was managed. This is not normal for a 19, 20-year-old artist at his stage of a career. You don't install a seemingly crisis team in your personal space unless you feel a crisis breathing down your neck. And one uncomfortable truth hangs in the air. The easiest way to eliminate risk is to eliminate access to the risk. Celeste knew too much. Celeste felt too much. Celeste mattered too much. In all the wrong ways. And children under pressure, they don't disappear logically. They disappear emotionally first, then digitally, then physically. And while one girl is being squeezed into smaller and smaller corners of silence, another woman, seemingly, unknowingly, takes her spot under the brightest lights they can find. Because panic in the real world looks like replacement on camera. Now, pay close attention, because this is the pivot point in the entire story. When you take this timeline and flatten it out, you don't see chaos, you see a swap. One girl fading out of existence at the exact same speed, another woman fades into a spotlight. That kind of symmetry doesn't just happen. If we listen closely, the silence around Celeste says more than words ever could. Because while she disappears from group chats, from friend feeds, and from every place a teenager should naturally exist, the thing is, David doesn't vanish alongside her. David's blossoming. Award shows, magazine shoots, tour announcements, and most importantly, a brand new public storyline. Hannah, not just a collab partner, a soft, beautiful, age-appropriate PR dream. A woman the world can safely root for him to love. A woman who elevates his image instead of destroying it. Online, they appear inseparable, laughing in TikToks, matching aesthetics, the kind of chemistry that fan fiction is built on. And here's what the industry understands immediately, intimately. There is no celebrity fantasy more powerful than a healthy, beautiful public romance, even if it's one built in yearning. Two young artists finding success together, going on tour together, collabing together. A story, that story, well, it makes audience feel like they're falling in love too. A story that gets streamed, reposted, monetized, franchised. Hannah becomes the romantic image the machine can invest in. The machine wants to invest in. And Celeste? Well, Celeste becomes the real history the machine cannot afford. So what do you do with real history when it threatens the fantasy you're selling? You delete it. And that is exactly what RIA watches happen in real time. Posts that once hinted at Celeste, they are gone. Comments linking the timelines, they are scrubbed. People who used to know her, maybe they are quiet under NDAs. It's not a conspiracy. It's good PR. You remove anything that doesn't align with the news story. And this news story, well, many say it's Hannah. The fans eat it up. Her label doubles down. Asia opens its gates. Streaming goes up. But with every step forward David takes into the light, Celeste is forced deeper into the dark. Because now, if Celeste speaks, if she breaks down, if she tells someone, anyone, anything at all, it doesn't just hurt David. It doesn't just hurt him emotionally. It endangers a global campaign with millions behind it. Children don't understand the danger of their own truths. Children think honesty equals help. Children think adults will step in and protect them. But Celeste has been completely separated from the only people who might have protected her. Her family, her friends, her loved ones. And every day she stays silent, the industry exhales with relief. And every day she stays missing, the future feels safer for everyone except her. One girl wasn't removed from this picture. She was replaced. And the message was clear. This is the woman we show. Hannah is the type of woman we want David around. And Celeste, this is the child you're not just going to forget. You're never, ever going to know she existed. Many say it was a trade, a transaction, a switch the world wasn't supposed to notice. But the camera never lies. When convenience replaces truth, the truth becomes dangerous. Now here's the thing. Everything we've seen so far has been public. The headlines, the search warrants, official statements still behind courtroom doors. But the darkest parts of this story, they didn't come from the press. They came from the people who documented the world as someone tried to erase it. RIA, as I like to call them. They are a group of online archivists who've never believed this was just a tragedy. They believe this was a transition, a handout, a handoff, a disappearance in exchange for a better story. And the receipts they claim to have collected are what we dive into next. Their allegations that David's manager lived in the same home where Celeste was believed to be staying. A proximity that feels less like representation and more like surveillance. Like evidence of a rental house abruptly abandoned right as Celeste vanished offline, followed by a mansion move closed off by gates and handlers. RIA says the silence wasn't passive, it was enforced. They point to deleted discords and white posts, claiming Celeste talked online about being missing before anyone ever reported her gone. They point to TikToks that vanished moments the internet was never supposed to remember. And they point to the Hannah pivot. A new public romance launched at almost the exact moment Celeste's digital trail was buried. Why did the optics clean up right when the child disappeared? Who was preparing the world for a version of David with no baggage? But the most alarming pieces are the ones RA says they already archived. Screenshots, metadata, DMs, the people who switched from David's team to Hannah's team overnight, a fixer who suddenly stopped posting, a personal phone wiped, a rumored asset transfer to his mother right as the investigation closed in. And yes, there are whispers of private videos still held offline until the truth can be proven instead of punished. Now, none of this is confirmed, and none of this is public record. But RIA wants you to question, why did a child fade away as a brand rose higher? Why was silence so valuable that someone erased a girl before the world even realized she was gone? And now the one person who could answer those questions is no longer alive? This wasn't just a disappearance. This was a removal. In part 2, we follow the evidence that wasn't meant to survive. In part 2, we bring the receipts, the deleted TikToks, the things that people say David's team did not want us to see, know, or figure out. And in part 2, we present them to you, and you make up your own mind.